I'm Mike McDermott from FreshBooks, and I'm at the Future of Web Apps in Miami. And I've got a couple of the guys from Wufoo here. Guys, could you each introduce yourselves, and one of you tell me a little bit about what Wufoo is?
I'm Chris Campbell.
I'm his brother, Ryan.
And I'm Kevin Hale, and Wufoo is an online HTML form builder, and basically we strive to help people collect information over the internet. We do surveys, invitations, and simple online payment forms.
So what about people who are even maybe a couple of steps, or maybe not steps, but stages behind you guys? Have you found people who are just really early, and like, how does that feel when you're talking to one of them?
We really believe in, the golden rule, like what you give out to other people, you receive back in tenfold. So we love giving advice and talking about our experiences and explaining sort of all the challenges that we have faced. And so it's always interesting to see that most people's challenges and worries and questions are usually the same ones that we used to have. And it's nice to be able to sort of explain and share some insight that we.
I think there are a lot of beginner people here. There are a whole lot of beginner people, and the thing Kevin said yesterday in his workshop that was maybe the most important was someone asked if you could go back in time and start all over again, what would you have done different? And he just said, I would start earlier. Like, you learn as you go, just start. And that was probably the most important piece of advice they could have done. You can read and you can listen forever. Just start, do it.
Okay, cool. Hey, so Ryan, how long have you guys been at this?
So we've been doing this for about 3 years. We started blogging, and then we've actually launched Wufoo for 2 years now, and that's the journey right there.
Okay, cool. So tell me a little bit about the company. Is the company sort of you three, and are you at it full time?
We're at it full time. It's just us three right now. We're growing to the point of hiring, but it's still just us three. And we all met through work, and we're brothers, and it's just been us three ever since.
Okay, cool. And you guys are a Y Combinator company. Can you tell us a little bit about Y Combinator and that experience?
Go ahead, Kevin.
Y Combinator is a seed investment firm, and what they sort of do is give an initial small amount of money to help you just get jump started. Basically, it's sort of, in the beginning, they used to market it as sort of an alternative to an internship. Instead of going and working for a company over the summer, build basically your own company and web application, and then they put you in front of a room of investors at the end of your prototype, and you pitch to them, and basically you have an opportunity to sort of change your life. The connections are pretty amazing, and the experience has been phenomenal. We also were able to bond with the other companies that were also joining the program at the time, and what's really nice is that usually building a company is a pretty lonely experience, so it's nice to be able to go to like a weekly dinner where you're joining other people that are experiencing the same thing and going through the same struggles, and so you have like an outlet, and it's a social outlet at that.
Chris, so you guys are building, you've been at it for a few years. I know in my experience there tend to be like various rites of passage or just stages you grow through and you move on to the next one. And I'm just kind of wondering, what was the last kind of thing that you grew through, and what's the current challenge you guys are wrestling with today?
The last major challenge was definitely scaling, and Ryan handled a lot of that. I mean, as far as technical goes, we've just got through that, and the next stage is growth. We're about to hire a few employees, so now we're going to be a three-man team to maybe six-man team. So that's going to be the next challenge after that.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Sure. So on the scaling thing, start with an API and start ready for multiple databases. I would say it took about 4 months of rewriting, to fix problems that if we had started with never would have existed.
So the one kernel there is just designed for multiple databases?
And designed based on an API, a centered API, a structured API in your code that will scale and designed for multiple databases.
So, I mean, that's a technical problem. How about like a business challenge you might have just gone through? Kevin?
One interesting thing that we sort of do is sort of, I guess there's a VC and he wrote, and I can't remember off the top of my head, but the major piece of advice that he gave was, in the first year and a half, 2 years of your business, you focus on the product, you build all the features, and you develop and design it. At some point, you need to transition into focusing on distribution and marketing and stuff, and you start working on business development. And so we're about at that point right now. And so we're working on sort of challenges towards like, how do we increase sort of awareness of our app? I mean, we've had a phenomenal growth just on word of mouth, and so we're hoping to sort of multiply the effects by using various sources of advertising, different other marketing techniques, getting the word out there through affiliate programs and things like that.
So if I were to ask you, Chris, what's the biggest driver of word of mouth for you guys? How did you guys get, like, where does the word of mouth primarily come from?
Word of mouth is by making something remarkable, making something that is unordinary for them and they can tell their friends about. So even something as simple as customer service, giving great customer service, you'll say if something happens in your day that's remarkable, you'll tell someone about that. So one thing we try to do is not be a typical form builder. There's a lot of competition out there. You know, even Kevin has Shakespearean quotes throughout the form builder. The colors, the way we present ourselves, a little different. Everything a little different that someone would remark on, just because it's different. That's what people talk about. So
you're trying to design great experiences. It'd be fair to say something like that, like something beyond what people's expectations. Is that fair?
Kathy is here, who writes Creating Passionate Users. She said one of the things that sort of your brain responds to emotionally is surprises, things that you don't expect beforehand. And so, you know, the big thing about word of mouth, in addition to making things remarkable, is you got to make it so it becomes a conversation for someone else. Like they tell someone something else that it makes them also look good. And so we work on a lot of things of making our users look fantastic to other people.
Cool. Ryan, if you had to describe customer service, like, and define it, like, give me a definition of customer service.
Definition of customer service. It's helping your users solve their problems. So if your product isn't good enough to solve it on their own, they're going to contact you. So you have to do your best to solve it as quickly as possible, as friendly as possible, and that in turn will translate to sales and word of mouth.
Chris, what is the future of web apps?
I think a lot of it is going to be openness. If everyone's a niche and the APIs are open, for like Amazon S3, but one idea that we were talking about was storage for credit cards, so like S3 for credit cards. If everyone has their API and they do as best as they can do in that particular niche, you can pull from it. We use so much from other people in our app that we don't have to reinvent the wheel each time. You know, if we're going to send out mail, you know, maybe we're thinking about doing that through Campaign Monitor or something. You know, file storage through someone else, or our billing systems through someone else. We just plug into their APIs and do it, so we don't have to rewrite it from scratch. I think that's really important. It's important for productivity, and it's important to do things as best as they can get done.
I think mobile applications are getting big, and it's really getting exciting now that mobile devices are getting better at sort of serving out the internet much, much better. I think it's going to be an exciting time to see sort of portable access to information, data, and services online. It used to be you have to wait till you get home, you wait till you get to work to sort of accomplish a task, but now that if you can do something on the go, I think we're going to see exciting products that we won't have thought of beforehand.
20 years from now, assuming there is an internet, what do you think the user experience is going to be like online? Chris?
Ask our UI guy. How about that?
So you're indicating it's going to be intense UI, okay?
There's some exciting like user interface stuff. I think multi-touch technology has gotten a really surprising adoption rate, and I think it might be, I'm hoping I can just plug something into the back of my head, and then so I'm like operating the internet and doing stuff based off of thought processes, right? So what we've seen a lot of, and it's like things that are successful are things that get you away from the screen, right? And which is why I was sort of interested in the mobile space, and so. You know, things that makes people look like all-stars. Like I think one of the reasons why the Wii is so exciting is that the level of activity brings it off of the screen where things aren't focused on just them playing on the hands, but they're moving all around and makes an audience sort of gather around them to watch them. And so I think sort of the future of applications of stuff that makes people look incredible.